In this demonstration, I will show you how you can reverse a vendor ledger entry with realized exchange differences. Now, to prepare the demo, I've created a new vendor, Grand Furniture EU. So it's a EU vendor, obviously, and the vendor is set up with euro as currency. So if I go to invoicing, if I click on show more, you can see here that the currency code is euro. So I already prepared an invoice, a very simple expense invoice. So my demo company, Kronos USA, which is set up with US dollar as local currency, by the way, purchased consulting services for 1,000 euro. So that's very important. So we're working in euro with in this invoice. All right, for the rest, it's a very simple invoice. So let's go ahead and post the invoice. So I will click on post. Yes. So when the invoice is posted, let's quickly check the vendor ledger entry. So I will go to vendors. I will select Grand Furniture EU and I will go to history and then the ledger entries. Just to show you the result of posting the invoice. So here at the top you can see the result. So and again, we have purchased consulting services for 1,000 euro, but at the same time, you can also see here the amount in US dollar, so 995.20. Now, the invoice was posted with an old exchange rate, so let's go ahead and update the exchange rates. So I will go to currencies, and I will select euro and then click on process exchange rates. So here you can see the exchange rate, and it's indeed an old one, so one that dates from 2021, and Kronos, my demo company, is already living in 2023, which is also the year in which the purchase invoice is posted. So let's go ahead and update the exchange rate before posting the payment. So I will just use the work date, so April 10, 23, and let's say that 1 euro is 1.1 US dollar. There we go. All right, let's go ahead and post the payment, and I will do this from a payment journal. So I will use the search function to search for payment journals. There we go. And yeah, there are several batches set up in my demo company, so I will just use the payment registration batch, which has a bank account as balancing account. But you could also use a batch with a GL account, so that doesn't make a difference for this demo. All right, so the payment journal, so let's say that we received payment 2 days later. So for example, April 12th. So the document date is also April 12th. It's a payment and it's for vendor Grand Furniture EU. So I will select the vendor. There we go. And then I will make a simple application. So here, by the way, you can see that we are paying an amount in euro. So I will click here on process, apply entries. So to make a simple application. So I will select the invoice of 1,000 euros. If you're not sure, double check the amount, so the remaining amount, so the first line. So I will select the first line, click on process and then set the applies to ID. Next, I will return to the payment journal by clicking on OK. And now we can post the payment. All right, so let's go ahead and do this. I will click here on post print and then simply post the payment. Okay, so there we go. Let's go and have a look at the results. So I will again go to the vendor and open the vendor ledger entries. So related, history, and then ledger entries. So besides the invoice, we now also have a payment. So the first line that you can see here at the top. Yeah, you can also tell by looking at the document type. Now, because we have used a different exchange rate for processing the payment, you will see that there is an exchange rate difference. Now, you can tell in several ways. So I can, for example, select the vendor ledger entry and next click on entry and then detailed ledger entries. So this will show me the detailed ledger entries of the vendor ledger entry, and besides the initial entry and the application, you can also see an entry with entry type realized loss. So we made a loss of 104.80 because of the new exchange rates. Alright, now this is also processed in the general ledger because if I would click here on find entries, Business Central will show all the entries that were posted when processing the payment, and if I click on general ledger entries, you can see here the 4 entries. So, and this is if I click here, this is my GL account on which we post currency losses, as you can see here. Alright, now suppose that we made an error. So when processing the payment, maybe posted to the wrong vendor or a wrong date, whatever. So we would like to reverse the payment. Then first of all, it's important that we prepare the vendor ledger entry in order to use the reverse transaction function. And as you may know, you can only use the function for entries coming from a journal and entries that are unapplied. So the first thing that I need to do is run the unapply function because currently the entry is still applied. You can tell by looking here at the remaining amount is still applied with the invoice. So in order to use the reverse transaction function for the payment line, I first need to unapply these entries. So that's something that you can do by clicking here on process, then apply entries, and then select the unapply entries function. Alright. So Business Central will suggest all the entries that should be unapplied. So not only the application entries, but also the realized loss, obviously. So and the only thing I need to do here is click on unapply and then confirm by clicking on yes. Okay, so now the entry is unapplied, and now I'm ready to reverse the transaction. So, and that's also something that you can do quite simple. So once more, I will click on process and then reverse transaction. So here you can see what Business Central suggests to reverse, and you can see that yeah, there are quite a lot of entries. And that's of course because we posted from a payment journal that had a bank account as balancing account. So that's why, for example, you can find the bank account ledger entry. You can of course find the vendor ledger entry. All the GL entries based on the vendor posting group, for example, but also notice here the same GL account. So Business Central will also reverse the currency loss that we initially posted to the vendor. So, and that's of course very important because everything must be reversed. So not only the initial entries, but also the currency loss or the currency gain. And that's all included in the reverse function. So the only thing left for me is click on reverse. Yes. And now all the entries were successfully reversed, which means that you can now go ahead and post the payment to the correct vendor, for example.